All right. Well, welcome everybody on this Monday evening. I hope your guys' Monday was great and fantastic. It is very cold here in Oklahoma. So I live in the Tulsa, Oklahoma area, and it's actually really cold here today. So it was like 20 degrees. And so I froze. I don't like cold that much. I'm sure some of you are probably in warmer areas and some of you maybe in even colder than that. So yeah, it was pretty brutal. But nice thing is it's supposed to be back up to 70 by Saturday. So I am excited for that wasn't because it was 70 this last weekend too, and I was thinking, oh man, this is probably the last nice weekend. But we get nice weather again. So same here in Arkansas. Yeah, it's pretty cold. It dropped. So I'm not a fan of today. But I'm Melody Harper, and I am going to be sharing with you all this evening. I've been with Pampered Chef for 13 years now. So I've been through a lot of different times in this company. And I'm sure some of you probably have been here even longer than me. So, but 13 years and a lot of different phases in my own life. If you saw my oldest son was walking in here showing me something on his phone, and my youngest was in here. But I started Pampered Chef 13 years ago, actually, when my middle daughter, she was 3 months old. And so when I started Pampered Chef, I had been a teacher previous to trying Pampered Chef for 7 years. And I still was a teacher with my firstborn. And then when I had my daughter, I decided that rather than putting two children in childcare, I wanted to look for something part-time to do. And it just happened to be Pampered Chef was that amazing opportunity. I went to a cooking show and I signed up and it's been amazing. So it's been an amazing journey and a ride, and I was able to stay home for 11 years with my kids until all of them were back in school. And make sure I'm muting everybody as I'm kind of hearing people. So if you see me pausing, I'm trying to mute people here. But um, so I um took 11 years off, and then I actually went back into teaching the last 3 years. So I solely did Pampered Chef, um, got to the senior executive level, was an executive for 6 years with Pampered Chef. And then I just felt a calling, a little tug in my heart about 3 years ago to go back into teaching. So for the last 3 years, I have been a teacher, and I started teaching computer classes when I went back into it. I have my early childhood degree, but then the last 2 years I've taught third grade. So I'm currently in a third grade classroom. So I got the little sweethearts all day. And then I get to come home to my own three kids. And so Pampered Chef, and the reason I wanted to share all that with you is because you'll have a little more understanding when I talk about pockets of time and I talk about what you can do in an hour. You'll understand that my life is absolutely crazy, as I'm sure several of your lives are crazy as well. I have told several people that I am in currently the hardest phase I feel like I've ever walked through right now. Having a high schooler, a middle schooler, and an elementary has rocked our world. It's very hard because their schedules are all over the place, from morning practices to afternoon practices to evening practices to weekend games and evening games. It is all over the place. So when I say there are times where an hour a day is what I can fit in, that's what I can fit in. So I don't know if any of you guys can relate to that. I see a seventh grader and a 3 year old. Yep, that'll keep you on your toes as well. So some of you, I'm sure, feel my pain, and maybe some of you still do Pampered Chef full time. You know, this is what you do full time, and I love that as well because, like I said, that was my life for 11 years was Pampered Chef. So from the time my babies were in diapers, all the way back up through starting elementary school, I was able to stay home with them. And that was such a huge blessing that Pampered Chef was for me during all those years. So I'm thankful and grateful for all the different seasons. I am thankful that I can still do this business. I still have a team. I still have several of my team members on here currently that I am thankful for. So, but I wanted to share with you as we are in the busy holiday season, what you could do with just an hour of your time. Okay, because if you're like me, sometimes that may be all you have. Maybe sometimes you have less than that. Okay, so I'm going to share my screen and I'm going to walk through some slides here and just kind of give you some ideas that I do throughout the day to help me stay on track and to help me stay have a plan for the business because without a plan, I've done it before and it does not go very well. So let me share my screen and I'm going to pull my slideshow over here if I can figure out where my mouse is pointing. Oh,
Girl, what are you doing?
can you guys still see me? There you are. I was like, where did you guys go? You guys, okay, you guys can see me, but I couldn't see. I couldn't see you guys went away. So it freaked me out a little bit for a second there. Okay. Okay, I'm gonna pull. Okay, can you guys see that on my screen?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, perfect. Let me go ahead and there you go. Okay. All right. So why does an hour a day make a difference? And I'm going to slide you guys. You guys are kind of in my way. So I'm going to just move you over here to the side so I can still see you, but I can still see my screen. So talking about what an hour a day and how that can make a difference. Okay. So here's some things I want you guys to ask yourself. First of all, and if you need to take notes and write some of these things down, I encourage you to do so. So what are you doing with your time? Okay. And maybe even think through what are some of those things that are distractions that take away from from your time. Um, are you planning out when you're going to work each day? Do you have a plan written down for those times that work for you of when you can work your business? Do you find yourself getting caught up in social media? So sometimes when I get done with the day and my kids are in bed and I sit down and sometimes I just want to veg out. Like I just want to scroll. I don't want to think through anything. I just want to, like I just want to check out for a little bit. Um, but during that time, can you be working your business? Do you have a plan or are you just kind of doing that meaningless scrolling? Um, do you have the bookings that you need each month? So that's a big question that I want you guys to ask yourself. Every month, are you booking your calendar in the number of bookings that you are wanting, which is super important. Okay, so here is kind of what has worked for me. And this has worked through every season of that I've walked through with Pampered Chef. From the times where I had a very large organization and was a senior executive and was working my business several hours a day, to now, where I'm fitting it in those pockets of time that I have throughout the day. But every Sunday is what works for me, and it may not be what works for you. A different day may work for you. But the key is to figuring out what day works for you to sit down and plan your week. Okay, to have a calendar to see, okay, what does my week look like for me? Okay, what do I have this week as far as practices or doctor's appointments or whatever that looks like for you? Writing down everything, just writing it out, okay, on a piece of notebook paper. What do you have that you need to accomplish this week. It could be everything with Pampered Chef, as far as sitting down, getting your bookings, host coaching, all the things. Okay. And so I use something that I call the funnel method. So after I create my list of what this week looks like and the things that I want to accomplish this week, okay, and then I funnel it down. Okay, where am I going to put those things that I need to accomplish? Okay, what days of the week work for me to talk with my host, to sit down and do bookings, whatever it is that you are wanting to accomplish, where do you need to put that at? Okay. And if you don't get it done on that day, it moves to the next day. Okay. It's not a, oh, well, I didn't get that done today. Okay. Where else do I need to move it? Okay. So first thing is to plan out what your week looks like and funnel it into the days of the week that are going to work for you. Okay. So when am I going to fit in my working hour? Okay. What does that look like? Sometimes for me, it is sitting at my kids' practices, sitting in the car and either taking my laptop or if I can do it on my phone, sitting down and working. I mean, my kids' practices sometimes are 2 hours. Okay. Well, so that is a time where I can sit and I can work. So that a lot of times works for me. Sometimes I will work on my lunch breaks, my plan break. Sometimes when I first wake up in the morning, okay, whatever that looks like for you, figure out the pockets of time that you have throughout the day that you can work on your business. So that's step one is if you don't know what those pockets of time are, it's really hard to figure out when to fit that hour in. Okay, so you need to figure out those pockets of time. Okay, so what are the things that are important? Okay, bookings. Okay, no matter what, I always start with bookings. Okay, and it doesn't matter in what position I've ever been in as far as leadership, consultant, whatever, when I first started, to now, bookings are your priority. If your calendar isn't booked, that is where you start every single day in your hour until you get your calendar booked. Okay, you work on sending messages. Okay, in whatever way that looks like you are working on your 30 messages that you are sending every day. That's the first priority until you get your calendar booked. Okay. So your business is your priority. Even if you have a team of people under you, okay, your business is your first priority. And then working with your team, can fit into the other things that you need to do. Okay. But your bookings and your business always takes priority. Okay. You start with yours first, then move the tasks that need to be done for your team. Okay. If you don't have a full-time job, then spending the morning on your business. Okay. That is what I used to do when I was home and when my kids were in school and I was working this business solely. I would start with in the morning, that was the time for me to work my business. Okay, I wrote down the things that I needed to accomplish in my own business in the morning. Then in the afternoon, that's when I would work with my team. Okay, if I had calls, if I needed to update things on team pages, whatever that looked like, I did that in the afternoon. So the morning was my personal, afternoon was my team until I had to go pick up my kids. And sometimes by the time I drop my kids off, like I said, I have three different kids in three different age groups. So sometimes by the time I dropped off all three kids, got back to the house, unloaded the dishwasher because I wanted to do that or whatever, it was 10 o'clock by the time I started working. So then from 10 to 12, I would try to work on my own business. And from 12 to 2, I may do stuff with my team. And then it was time to go start the pickup routine again at 2 o'clock. So when I thought I had all this time with my kids being in school, ended up usually only being a few hours by the time I dropped off and then had to go pick up again. But I had to schedule that time. Even then, I had to prioritize, I had to schedule it. Okay. But if you do have a full time, what are your pockets of time? Think through your day. Is it lunch breaks? Is it home in the evenings? Is it in the morning? Okay. Is it, after the kids go to bed? What does that look like for you? Okay. What are those pockets of time where you can work your business? Okay. So something else that I found that really helped me be successful because I would get so many things in my brain all the time, just trying to figure out what my day looked like. And then I would lay in bed and I would sit there and I would think through them if I did not do a brain dump. Okay. And that was at night. The things that I was thinking about, worrying about, stressing about, knowing that I needed to do, dump those out of your brain. Write them down. Get them out of there. Write them down so that you can release. Okay? You'll sleep better, you'll have a plan, okay? And I love to make the list, okay? I have all of the things that I want to accomplish in my day. I have it typed out. Because what I did was I planned out Monday through Friday, and I would write down, okay, Monday, here's what I need to do. And I did this for myself as a leader, and I did it for my consultants. So I did, okay, I had parties endings and parties starting. I needed to reach out to hosts. I needed to finish up parties. So I looked at my party at as a week, and I said, okay, what do I need to accomplish today in my parties? And then I would write it down. Well, most of the time that doesn't change from week to week. There's no sense in sitting down at your desk or wherever you sit down to do your work and going, what do I need to work on right now? Okay, if I already had that listed out, and after I made those lists and that funnel, guys, a lot of the times that didn't change. So I knew what I was needing to do every day in my funnel time. So then I just typed it out. Monday, here's what I need to do. Those 5 or 6 things, I did them consistently. So when I sat down during that hour time, it was written out. Okay, here, go do this, go do this. And I would not let myself get distracted. Okay, hopping on social media, whatever that is, I would focus and get those things accomplished that were on my list. Okay, and I can even post the documents that I use Monday through Friday typed out. It's just a Microsoft Word document. It's not anything special, but it works for me because on my desk, I had 3 things. I had my list of all my host stuff. As soon as a booking would ever come through on my party, I would go to my host document. I would write their name down. I would write the date that we're going to do their party. I would find out their information so I knew exactly who I needed to be contacting as soon as I needed to be contacting them. So I had that paper on my desk. I had the daily paper of what I need, to do. And those were always on my desk crossing out what I need to do. And there was no question what I was working on and when I was working on it. Because, like I said, a lot of times it didn't change. Okay. So, how will you start working your business an hour a day? Okay. Writing down where are you going to fit in your time? Okay. It starts with making the commitment to find those pockets of time. Okay. Like I said, having those couple documents that I worked with kept me on track, and that's something I can fit, in my planner and take with me. I know a lot of people love to do they do their planners, on you have a Google Calendar, whatever works for you. I am a paper, write it down kind of person. I like to make lists, I like to cross them out. I like to have the paper in front of me. That is me personally. Not everyone works that way, and not everyone, some people prefer to do it on technology. But what works for you is what you need to do. Okay? Because I've sent my list of my daily tasks to a lot of my consultants. And I tell them, you have to make this your own. Because if you just use my list of daily tasks, then you won't actually do the daily tasks because it's my list of daily tasks. It's not your list of daily tasks. Okay. So you have to figure out what you are doing every day. So I'm going to encourage you to stop just sitting down and going, oh gosh, what do I need to do today? There's just so much I don't even know where to start because that's where I'm at if I don't plan. Okay. I'll just be like, I don't even know where to start. I feel like I have so much stuff to do. Okay. So, I'm going to encourage you to write your list and figure out in your parties, in your team pages, whatever. My cat is playing with paper on the floor, if you're wondering what that rustling noise is. Um, whatever that looks like for you, that is what I'm going to encourage you to do. Okay. So, um, is there any questions that you guys have for me or what works or ideas? Maybe something that you do that you would like to share that works for you. Anything? We have a lot going on in the the chat down here. So the brain dump. You use Google Calendar for your daily tasks. Okay, Chelsea says. Awesome. Well, working in this business as long as I have, I work with a lot of, I've had a lot of friends that are very successful in this business, but I also have a lot of friends now that work, that have full-time jobs and work this business. Okay. So you can make it, whatever. Okay. Sorry, my cat's driving me nuts. See, he was rattled up in that paper and he was making all kinds. I don't know if you could hear it, but it was driving me nuts because it was distracting me. Okay, maybe you guys couldn't hear it. I could hear it. But it just got very sad because I took his paper away from him. But some of the friends that I have that work very full-time jobs, okay, they have extreme sales every single month. And they do that because they are consistent no matter what. And their calendar could be booked, but they're still making those 30 contacts every single day, no matter what. And I've heard their stories, and I'm like, oh my gosh, I thought I was crazy with my work, but I do have times, as a teacher that I have free time. But she really doesn't. She has lunch, but consistently every single day at lunch, she is sending those messages no matter what. And she sells an extreme amount of sales every single month. So it is all about the consistency. It's all about the commitment, and it is deciding that that is what you're going to do no matter what every single day. So that's the biggest thing. But having the plan and being organized and knowing your time, that is what is important too. Um, yes, I can definitely share the document. Like I said, I have one for leaders and I have one for consultants. And it's just like I said, it takes my party schedule of what my party layout looks like. I run parties Monday. I start on Sunday with my pre-party post, and then I do Monday through Friday. So that's what I personally do. But Monday, I'm reaching out to all of my hosts that are coming up for the next weekend. I'm excited for your party. Just want to check in. I'm going to be adding you to your party on Wednesday. But, like I have a box that says reach out to hosts coming up. That is just my reminder of, and then on my paper, I have written down all of my hosts that are starting for that week. So all I have to do is go to my paper and say, okay, here are the hosts that are starting this week, and here is what I need to send them. And so I send those messages and I stay on topic. And then I have parties that just finished up. Now I'm reaching out to those hosts for their host rewards, so that I have that on there. Reach out to current party hosts to wrap up host rewards and then do my drawings for my current parties. So everything is written down so I don't have to think through what am I doing in my parties? What do I need to accomplish? What do I need to do? And like I said, bookings is the top priority no matter what. Send those first, send those 30 booking messages, and then start on your checklist. Okay, that is the key every single day. So we have like 5 minutes left. Is there any other questions that anyone has, comments, anything at all? I will post like I said, I will post the documents, those couple documents. I can post also the host information page that I use. Like I said, you guys may not be paper pencil people. You guys may keep track of it all online. But like I said, I like to have those two pieces of paper on my desk so I can physically pick them up, look at them. If I need to take them to school with me, I have them. I stick them right in my school bag, take them with me. So I am constantly moving that bag back and forth, looking at what I need to do. So, but everyone, guys, can do this business and everyone can do it to the level that you want to. Okay. It is just a mindset and it is just a staying on top of it and staying organized and being intentional with your time. Okay. So, um, that last thing that it said on that slide is if it's meant to be, it's up to me. Okay. Everyone has a choice in this business to do the level of success. Okay. Completely your choice of what you want from this business, but it does take the commitment, it does take the consistency. And I have found those times in my business where I'm consistent, where I'm tracking, and where I am organized, that is the times when I have the most success. It just is. So if that's what you are looking for, I'm going to encourage you to take those pockets of time and to take that those chunks every day that are going to help you have a successful business. Okay? All right, guys. Well, thank you for joining this evening. I really appreciate it. And I hope you guys stay warm and have a fabulous week. All right, guys. See you later.